Thanks for checking out this video, and as promised, I am doing a ranking of all the stories from Creepshow Season 3, which I thought was solid. I thought it was a good one. And actually, I will say at the top, I took a look at my overall ranking, which I will be doing an additional video for a week from now, of all of the stories ranked, of all Creepshow Seasons 1, 2, 3, and all the specials. So that one should take a bit, because that's a lot of stories, but that one should be a lot of fun. But based off of where I was ranking everything for all the seasons, I was doing kind of a comparison and averaging out the ranking spots. And it looks like to me that I ranked season 1 the highest overall, season 2 the second highest, and season 3 the third highest. Even though it seemed to me like I liked season 3 more than season 2, it was very, very slight. Like the amount of like the average was less than 0.5%, or less than half a number basically for it. So seasons 2 and 3 actually ended up being really close. I think part of the reason for that is that the highs in season 2, for me personally, I think were higher than the highs in season 3. I think there was more consistency in season 3 amongst all the stories. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of why I did it. But I think for my next video, I'm actually going to go ahead and break down my actual star ratings and average those out and do kind of an update of this for comparison of the seasons. But the main thing I'm going for this particular, I was going to say episode, this particular video is just the ranking of all the stories from season 3. So, and I will say, I would love in the comments if you would give me your rankings for season 3 as well, because I hear so many different things about the stories people loved versus the ones I've loved, and the ones they hated versus the ones I hated, and I just love to hear people's difference in opinion. It's just very interesting to see. So anyway, my number 12 at the bottom is drug traffic. For me, that one didn't come together. It felt very sloppy and messy story-wise. Loved Michael Rooker in it, but it just didn't work out. Number 11 for me is Time Out. I did like the concept. It didn't feel very horror to me, though. I think they really could have leaned further into the horror, and it felt like it was kind of stretched for runtime, unfortunately. I think it had pacing issues, and it was just kind of slow. Then A Dead Girl Named Sue comes in at number 10 for me. It was okay. Once again, I felt like it kind of stretched the runtime. The pacing was slow. It wasn't that exciting. I do like how they kind of tied it into something else at the very end, and I like the kind of noir-ish look to it with the way it was shot and the fact that it was done in black and white. Then coming in at number 9 was Queen Bee. I know a lot of people hated this one. I thought the practical effects were really good, though, so I was a big fan of that, and I thought the story was fine. It was kind of more of like a new generation related horror story, so I think older crowds didn't really like it as much. And I get that, but that's at number 9 for me. Number 8 is Stranger Sings. I really like the concept of this. I like the acting in this one, and it was grabbing from some very old lore that doesn't get used a whole lot, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. But I don't know, it kind of felt like it needed more to get developed. Like it felt like it was missing parts of the story that really did need to be there. But that's my number 8. Number 7 is Mums. Now, Mums I thought was solid. I thought it was probably a little too short. I think maybe it needed to be fleshed out more. Love the performance of Ethan Embry in that one. I think he did an outstanding job with it. And it was, it was okay. Love the practical effects in it. I think those were cool. A little bit slow though. That's my number 7. Number 6, Okay, I'll Bite. I like the setting of this was pretty different. I like the evil that they use in it was also pretty different. So the story had a lot of interesting aspects to it that felt like it was very different than a lot of other Creepshow stuff. So I really like it for that. In the end, it was decent. I did feel like the end was a little flat for me. I wanted it to kind of be a little bit bigger. It ended, and I was kind of like, oh, it's done. Oh, okay. So I kind of wanted more on that one, but that's my number 6. Number 5, Skeletons in the Closet. I thought this was a great fan service episode that had so much stuff to look at. I thought it was a fun story. I thought it was a story that kind of hit all the points that you want in a very short horror story for something like Creepshow. And yeah, I think it came together well, and it had some good comedy aspects, and it just felt fun. Very, very fun. So that's my number 5. My number 4, The Things in Oakwood's Past. That was the fully animated one that I said in the review, like, when they do fully animated, they can go bigger because they don't have to do practical effects. That's not as expensive for that reason. So I like the fact that they went bigger. The voice acting by some pretty big, well, bigger names, really good voice acting, and a cool concept for a story. And I just love the broad scope of it, how huge it felt. So that's why I put that at number 4. My number 3 is Meter Reader, one of the Joe Lynch films. It looked really good. It's kind of it was a mix of like kind of two older concepts that have been used quite a few times, but it felt like it had its own twist. And one of the biggest aspects of its own twist was the setting of it. It took two older things that could have been mashed together and still felt kind of, boring, but the setting of it was so interesting, and the way that setting was shot and represented visually, I really enjoyed that. So the story kept me interested, and I would. That's one I remember saying that I really could see that being like a feature length, and I really would like to see that one become a feature length. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is Familiar. Wonderful acting in Familiar. Really love the acting. It's not a super unique story, but the way they executed it felt so polished. It felt so coherent. The script felt like it knew exactly where it was going. It was very crisp. It was very clean. It wasn't wasting time. And it also felt like one that could have been much bigger, could have been much longer. But I really did enjoy it. It really came together for me, and that's why Familiar was my number 2, which means that my overall number 1 was The Last Subaraya. Really enjoyed The Last Subaraya. Love the aspect of that. The evil or the bad guy in it who then has to go against the evil in it. The evil was very well designed, looked really good practical effects wise. How the main character gets to the evil was an interesting journey. I was kind of like, where are we going with this? And the setting was really interesting. It looked wonderful. The acting was really good. It's a very fun, interesting concept. And I just enjoyed it the most out of all the ones that I saw. So that's why The Last Subaraya gets my number 1 slot. So that said, that is my full ranking of the stories for season 3 of Creepshow. Stay tuned to the next week where I'm going to do my entire ranking of every single story so you can see where these season 3 stories slot into that. And yeah, it's a long list because 36 stories involved here? That is a lot. So I'm probably not going to go as in depth talking about each one of them as I did on this because that would take a very long time. But yeah, it'll be a good time, so I look forward to that. Like I said, put in the comments your rankings, or if you don't want to do a full ranking, just tell me like your top 3, top 5, whatever you wanted to do, and we'll get nerdy about that. That'll be fun. Also, do me a quick favor and hit subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thank you. You are awesome. I appreciate that. If you haven't, it is quick, painless, and costs you no money. So I would really appreciate it if you could do that. That is your way to repay me, literally. You're repaying me by subscribing, and that way I know you're enjoying what I'm doing. If you like this video or anyone, that's your way to repay me. So I would appreciate that. But regardless, I really do thank you for taking your time to watch this video. And until next time, keep it brutal.